proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast. Season 4, Episode 2. Connor, we're back with a bang now.
We are indeed. We are. What do you call it? And the great thing is, Kevin, we've been working behind the scenes with regard to future content and get great guests, you know, looking at both present and past stories of rallying. And certainly we've got some really juicy stuff lined up for the rest of the year, and we hope that people are going to enjoy it. Now, when we do get the opportunity, I don't know if we can let the cat out of the bag just yet in some of it, but when we do get the opportunity to air it, now I really do hope that our viewers and listeners really do get to enjoy what we have coming down the line. That's for sure,
you know, and fingers crossed it all comes together. And I suppose before we go any further, please like, share, subscribe, all those things makes a huge difference, you know. Before Christmas, you know, we spoke about Killarney Historics and Kelly Rovenpera coming, you know, that was an absolute star of the show. But another star of the show was the BMW M3, you know, Mats van der Brand car. I think there was 8 of them on the event. These cars are really just changing the face of historic rallying at the moment.
They are indeed. You know, they've really made a fantastic comeback. I suppose, you know, it was the era when you and I really were getting into the thick of following rallying and falling in love with the sport. You know, it was Bertie Fisher, Billy Coleman, what do you call it, Austin McHale, you know, all driving the M3 BMWs, and they were fantastic cars. Maybe probably a little bit short-lived, and we didn't get to see maybe full potential at the time. But when you look back now, and as you say, like, what was there, 8 in Killarney? Like, just incredible now that we're getting treated to this spectacle, you know, re-emerging again.
That's for sure. And like, I spoke to Mats briefly along with Marty and Barney earlier in the year, and we just, you know, the enthusiasm, like, it just was coming oozing out of him, you know, and I thought, that guy has to have a better, you know, a longer story, and like, I just wanted to hear more why, you know.
Yeah, look, as you say, you know, the enthusiasm just spilling from him. Like, I got the chance to chat to him briefly up in Donegal when he had a couple of the cars across for the International Rally. When you looked around those cars, like the level of detail, the finish on them, you'd swear they were just coming out of factory as opposed to coming out of a, you know, a privateer, you know, car prep person.
That's for sure, that's for sure. And then, you know, to listen to Donna and to Marty and to all those other guys that's running the cars, they talk about, you know, like, this is like a works team, this is the cream of the cream, this is like just world championship level.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, when you look at his results in the car and you know, being able to bring that to various rallies internationally and be able to compete at the level he's been competing at, and the quality and just the performance, you know, and the support and the backup from the parts to the prep to the tuning, you know, it's incredible. And as you say, like, he can't speak highly enough of Mads. And you know, you did have a great conversation, which I hope everybody's going to enjoy, with Mads.
That's for sure. And like the way, you know, it's reignited Donna's love affair with rallying again. Eamon Kelly, like a young fella, like the way he just talks about the M3 as well too, you know. So it is a car that just stirs the emotion so much. But anyway, let's hear from Matt. And the first question I asked him was, what got him started in motorsport?
It actually started in '97. He came to my room when I was a little boy, and he asked me if I want to do karting or motocross. So I started with karting, obviously, because my dad was always a co-driver in rallying. And so then when I started karting, he quit being a navigator. And he was actually really good. They did, then it was European 20 back in those days. They did Dutch Championship. They won the Dutch Championship, and he did it with Hans Stacey, who won Dakar in 2007. So he was, and my father was actually a very good co-driver. The first rallies I did was with him. He did quite a few rallies with Kevin Abbring, who's obviously one of the best Dutch drivers we have. Yeah, so when my father got me into karting, we did that for a long time. And then at some point, in 2012 he said he wanted to do something together, you know. Because I was at that point I was 20 and or 21, and I was always away and working and karting, and I never saw my father a lot. So he said, "Look, I miss you. I never see you. Do you want to do something in rallying?" And I always liked rallying. Like I was always following WRC. Colin McRae was my biggest hero, obviously. And then when we started building a rally car, we started with a Nissan 350Z. What is not a common car to do a rally with, but in Holland you had a championship for it, and you had like 15 cars, so it was a good, a championship, a good value. But to start in that car, you need an international license, and I had 0. So I did my first rally I did actually in an E30, and then I did 2 rallies in the Escort MK2. What was nice. And then I got my international license, started with the 350Z, crashed it in the first rally we did. So yeah, so it was a bit, and then my father was co-driving me in the other cars as well, and in those cars it was going really well. But as soon as we started rallying together in our own car, because obviously it was also a bit his car, then it didn't work out that good anymore. And then from the second rally in the 350Z, I started with Eddie, who is still my co-driver actually if I do rallying, so that's nice. And then long story short, so we did the 350Z championship in 2012 and 2013. We won that championship in 2013. When we had my car, we also built another one for a friend of us. So we had 2 cars, what was nice. I got in Holland, you have the KNAF talent program. Do you heard of it or not?
No.
I've heard of it. It's actually, especially when I was in, like, Kevin Abbering also was in it, and they back in those days they gave you a good scholarship and they tried to help you up in the ladder of rallying. So I came in that program with another guy. Then in 2013 we both did the 350Z Cup. Then the federation asked me at the end of the year, do you want to drive an R2? Or, well, now it's Rally 4, but then it was the R2, the Fiesta. So I did that. I had one guy who was actually also still rallying. The father had a few R2s. One was in parts, so he asked me, okay, if you build the car, you can use it for free. So I drove in the R2 then in 2013 in the East Belgium rally against Pontus Tiedemann, was a very good driver, and Thierry Neuville was also in the R2 then. I had no chance. Like, zero, I only did rallies in Holland, and then I came to Belgium in the hometown of Thierry, and I got my ass kicked big time. It was actually embarrassing, but then in the end of 2013 I did another rally in the R2. I made a big mistake in the last corner, crashed the car. Then a lot of people say, because I always needed budget, like I always have to look for sponsors, and then a lot of guys say, we will help you, we'll get it sorted. The federation say, we will cover you. At the end of the day, nobody did anything. So I had to pay for the accident. So because of that, I had my 350Z with Papa. What I didn't sell at that moment, but I also had my old Opel Ascona. You call it a Vauxhall Chevette, I think.
Or Cavalier, right? With the Opel.
Oh yeah, Cavalier. Yeah, I had a Ascona B with a Calibra turbo engine.
Right.
But I built that when I was 16. Because I like to add something. So that was my first car, and I had to sell it because of this accident.
Yes.
And then I said to my father, I said, look, it's nice, all this rallying, but it costs a lot of money. And, I can also spend my time different or work more as a coach, because besides karting, I was also working as a coach for a few drivers.
Yes.
And then he said, no, but you're good and blah, blah. I said, yeah, but look, I got my ass kicked and, and then I said, a lot of people make promises and nobody follows the promise, because it's easy to say like, I will help you or I will give you some money. And at the end of the day, it's like, I will buy a car, but it's only sold when the money is on your account,
Yes.
So it's the same with sponsors, with all the respect, they can say, yeah, we will help you, but at the end of the day, it only counts when the money is actually.
Yeah, if you have it in your back pocket, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was like, yeah, I'm done with that, and work was going well, coaching was going well, so I was like not motivated or anything. And then in the beginning of 2014, the guys who supported me in the 350Z, they also had a rally or a R2 car. But they had good sponsors. So they said to me, look, we want you to do the Dutch Championship and WRC Germany. And a gravel practice with Mark or David Higgins. So I did that with them. I needed a little bit of budget. So then we did that. And then in 2014, I was first privateer in WRC Germany with the R2.
Right.
Well, nice because there was 33 cars.
Yes.
And then I got invited for the shootout at M Sports. So then in 2014, I won the shootouts. And then Malcolm gave me the chance to either do one rally in a Rally 5, in a R5, or the full season in the Drive DMAC Trophy was the name then.
Yes.
So obviously, I did the Drive DMAC because I got the sponsorship from M Sport, then I got the sponsorship from the Dutch Federation. So it was an easy deal. And then I needed some financial support from my local sponsors. So yeah, that got me into WRC Juniors, or Drive DMAC or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So until that point, everything went like really quickly to a point where you want to be as a young driver,
Yeah.
And then it went all the other way. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like, even if it's just 5 events, you need to have you need to be 100% commitment. You need 100% be focused on that. And as I really like the job, I really enjoyed my work as a coach in karting, and I had a driver who was doing really well. And then I wouldn't say I got distracted, but with that driver, I had a lot of fun. No stress for financials because the father or his sponsor got it all covered.
Yes.
We had good results. Nobody told me what to do. So it was a nice environment, But then I also did the junior WRC, and I think I fucked it up a bit myself as well.
Okay.
My head, the driving was fine, but everything around it was a disaster.
Right. Yes.
Until some point, one of my sponsors told me, look, Mats, he asked me, we want you to do a local rally near your home, but you have to take our partners with you in the rally car. I said, okay, that's fine. And then I said, what's the budget? Well, you have a budget to either take your own car or rent a car. I say, well, I would like to rent a car. Oh, you have an idea? I say, yeah, I would like to rent an M3 E30. So that's, I just wanted to rent. I don't know why. I just wanted to rent an M3 E30 because I love rear-wheel drive. Like,
yes. I come from the 350. It was obviously
because of karting, I did I started karting in 97, and I officially quit in 2021. Like, even when I was doing junior WRC or Drive DMAC, I was still doing karting as well.
Yeah.
So then I had my go-kart team for 4 years, and I always the coach. I was always into karting. But anyway, the guy asked me to do it in the M3 E30 to this rally. Did the rally. The car, we had it cheap, the rent, because it was a Group A, but it was it would be 2 seconds slower per kilometer compared to cars I've built, maybe even, So then I said to my friend after the event, I said, can I buy the M3? And he said, what are you offering? Well, I offer you this much. And then he called me back 3 days later. He said, look, if you add 5K, it's fine. I said, okay, well, then I obviously take it. So I took that car. But then when I was driving also the junior WRC, my management said, Mats, if you spend this money on that car, it's better to invest that money into your driving.
Yes, into your WRC aspirations kind of thing.
Yeah, but but look, I already invested so much money in my own career. I say I also want to have a hobby, because I sold my Ascona because of the crash. I sold my 350Z to finish the 2014 season. So I had no car, and I missed, besides the karting, besides the junior WRC, I really miss having an own car. So and then when I drove the M3, I had a connection. then the cars weren't as expensive as they are today.
Yes.
And a fun fact: this car, what I bought then, how do you say bought?
I bought it, yeah.
I bought it, yeah. It was on sale, actually. It's in England now, this car. So yeah, it was for sale a couple of weeks ago in Belgium. Went to England or to Ireland.
Yes.
So I had that car for 2 years, 3 years. That's actually how I started my company with that car, because I had a car. We drove it 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I found a friend of me had a friend who had an M3 for 10 years, and he didn't know what to do with it. So I said, look, can I buy it? Oh yeah, you can. It's somewhere in Belgium. You have to go and look to it. So I went there, and then I see the car, and the car was like, the body was brand new, like no damage, but it had the wrong engine. It had a 6-cylinder engine.
Okay.
Bolted roll cage and a broken window, but the body shell itself was brand new.
Yeah.
So I said to the guy, how much money you want to do for it? Ah yeah, call me next week. I said, okay. So I called him. He said, ah yeah, I want 7,000 euro for the car. So I was so excited because it was so cheap. I was so excited, and I tried to be not excited and say, like, that's quite a lot of money, you know, but it was so cheap.
Yeah.
So I took that car of him. Then I was in Dubai for work, and my father went to collect that car. And then the guy where the car was based, he said, what did you pay for the car? So my father said, it's better to go sit in a chair and then I tell you. And then the guy was like, that much? He said, no, that cheap. And then, so he said to the guy, we paid 7,000. And then that guy said, look, if you leave it here, I pay you 3 times the money. And then, you know, it's fine, because it was really cheap for an M3.
Yeah.
Because it had documents, it had everything. It was a complete car. And this car I still have. This is the car Breen used and Cherry used.
Yes.
So that car, what I still have. When I had that car next to the first one, well, I didn't have the money. I was always scrabbling around to get it paid. And
budget,
then, because I was quite young and I was always working. And then when I was doing more with the M3s after 2015, I decided to quit with the junior WRC aspiration and everything, because it was just too expensive, you know.
Yeah.
Even at that time, you needed 200,000 euro for five
rounds.
And you have no chance. You have absolutely no chance against guys who can drive every single day for the.
Yes, because they're out running a Rally 2 car or an R2 car at national events and all as well too. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I was driving against Tom Cave, who was much more experienced, Marius Aslen, Vatane at that moment, Niels Solans, who is driving. His brother is doing now Toyota in the rally. So you know, it was a high level, and I had no budget.
Yes.
Saying that you needed 200,000, but I say I had no budget. You know.
Yeah, but compared to the others you were racing against, so.
Yeah. So that always made it difficult, and then you also have to be realistic and think about your future. And like, I already it's really difficult to get the money for this. Can you imagine if you want to
if you want to go to the next level?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Whatever,
And I was like, but my work is going well. This is going well. Why should I? You know, I can also do it on a lower level just for fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I did then with the M3. And then when I had the second M3, the body shell, I needed to sell the first one because I obviously could not afford to have another one. So I put that on the internet. I was on the internet for 3 days. Then somebody called me, I want to rent it, and after I want to buy it. I say, is that possible? I say, yeah, it's possible. And this guy actually had the car from 2016 until last week or 2 weeks ago. So he had it for a long time. So he rented it then, and then after he called me, I buy it. I say, okay, fine. And then at some day there was a Swiss guy just coming to my dad's workshop, and I say, hi, who are you? Oh yeah, blah blah blah. At that moment, I didn't speak German really well, but my father luckily did. And the guys didn't speak English, only German, so my father helped me out. And then I said, what are you doing here? Oh yeah, I'm coming from the M3. I say, yeah, but sold. Yeah, but you have another one. I say, yeah. Okay, is that for sale? I say, no. Can you build one for me? I say, yeah, why not? So that's, then it just, out of a hobby, it just starts. And this was in the end of 2017, more or less, beginning of 2018. And then, you do one, and then you meet some people around, along the way, and then, maybe you can help me out. And, you can help me here, and yeah, then slowly going. And then actually from 2019, I start to, rent out my own car. And every time I rent out my car, I would sell a car, and then it goes, the ball gets rolling.
Yes.
And then in the beginning of the end of 2019, so my father had a Hyundai garage. There was maybe 2 Hyundais in the workshop, and everything else was full of BMWs, So my father said, "Yeah, look, Mats, I love you, of course, but this is not, this is not possible." So I then needed to look for my own place, but because I put all my money in the M3, I had no money to buy a workshop, so I had to rent it. And this workshop, what I found, and I still have.
Yeah.
But it just started for fun. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have just started.
And you're talking about 2019, 2020, we all know what happened in 2020, the pandemic hit the world. Did that affect you, or did that actually nearly give you a chance to get your bearings and get a workshop and start to develop it really from there?
But for my mind, it was not good.
Oh.
I was in France when the
Lockdown, yeah.
I wouldn't say, I don't call it bullshit, because a lot of bad things happens, obviously.
Yeah.
But when the COVID started, I was in France with a rally. When the news was coming out, okay, business have to be closed, you cannot go outside, rallies will be cancelled, events will be cancelled. And that, when I was in France at that rally, that was the week I was also moving into the new workshop.
Right.
Because I started renting the workshop in November 2019. It was just an open box.
Yes.
We had to build everything inside. And then in March 2020, I opened it.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, in the week of COVID, I started in the new workshop. And I had a week, I was feeling really bad, and I'm not depressed, but
yeah,
I didn't feel good. And then all of a sudden, this car, new car, asking for rent, more parts. And then at that time, I was also running a go-kart team. What I did for 4 years. And that helped, to be honest, that helped me to get through COVID, because in June you could go to karting events. There was a lot of rules to follow, but the international events were
allowed to happen.
Were open. So that obviously got me through it. And then my father sold his company in 2020. Then he started working at my workshop. So when I was going for karting, the workshop didn't die, it was still going.
Oh yeah, it didn't close down. It didn't
close down. No. So it was still going, and I had no delays at that time, because in 2020 we maybe did like 4 or 5 cars per year.
Yeah.
So and then in 21 we grew a bit, but then I made a big step in after Breen, when he used my car. Then it started to go.
Yeah, because that probably put a lot of eyes on you that would never been possible before. Suddenly, because a world championship driver was using one of your cars, people were going like, "What's this? What's this all about?" We need to investigate this more, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then okay, when I drove the M3 myself in a championship in 2018, I put a lot of onboards on internet, and that's how I came in contact with Greg in the first place, actually.
Okay.
And how I came in contact with Sordo, because they probably like the onboards or whatever, but they always contact me. Where you get this? Where do you get that? We built your engine. What do you think about this? And blah blah. So yeah, as soon as they find out that we were building more and more cars, then they look for the interaction, and if you have guys like this coming to you, it's a good thing,
Yeah, because we all know Craig was a complete rally fan. He was a real, and he loved all the historic stuff, the Sierras, and the BM really just seemed to gel with that car as well too, didn't they? That weekend in Killarney.
Stupidly fast, I think.
Yeah.
He was really, really, really impressive fast.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, like, from the outside, everything always looks nice and easy, but you obviously have a long way where you come from. I mean, if you look to the big guys, if you look to M Sport, to Prodrive, they started like years before.
Yeah.
But you only see the end, like when it's going well, when it's a profitable business, when they have employee, because if I look to me, we are now with 8 guys full time. And if we take the freelancers, we are there with like 13 or 14 guys.
Yeah.
But at the end, I started alone. You have not. It's not that you have, okay, here you have a bag of money and.
No, you've had to do this from scratch, and it's all been you and your father helping out as well. But this has happened organically. It hasn't been somebody coming, here's a big pile of money, go and do this. Like it's been just gradually building it and building and building.
Yeah, and okay, I had one big plus. My father, he obviously, okay, I don't tell him enough, but he I think the hours he spent in the first couple of M3s.
Yes.
I don't think I ever paid him €1 for it. And yeah, but he didn't want to, for him it was, he had his own workshop during the day. Every evening, every Saturday, even every Sunday, he was working on the M3s.
Yeah.
And sure, when the more cars were coming, my father was even more enthusiastic. And at some point, like I said, we had 2 Hyundais in the workshop and the rest was M3s. He didn't even look to the customer cars anymore, and then then it was like, okay, this is not working, because obviously also he had to pay his rent, or well, he had his own
business to run.
Yeah, he had his own business, so he didn't have to pay rent, but he had to pay his all the
overheads and everything else.
He had to pay the bills, So that's if I didn't have my father, I for sure wouldn't have this.
Yes.
Like, no, not, and it nothing to do with money, but time and
passion as well to drive you on too, because like it could have been very easy to get overwhelmed, or feel that where I'm going to take this or where I'm going to go for, but he's there kind of quietly working away, pushing you in the background.
So he and now he's still working for me. So he I think he is if I would have to say who's the biggest, how do you say, the biggest input for my company, it's probably my father.
And your biggest influence, I suppose.
And not many people think, especially where I live, many people think, your father had a business, so he gave you a lot of money. It's nothing to do with that, absolutely not. But it's like the time and the energy, and the possibility he gave to me to actually use his workshop.
Yes, and his knowledge as well too, that he was able to do a lot of things and show you how to do it as well, probably. So and like because like the M3, they're an historic car, they have to be built to a very tight specification. Like, how do you even go about getting all that? Like, has Prodrive been helpful with the original paperwork, or is that something that you had to go out and find yourself and figure out how to do a lot of this stuff?
The one thing I did is I never ever looked to a Prodrive car.
Right.
So if you would ask me, I know how many, they're more or less 16. And obviously they have a fabulous name and like a very strong name, and especially the older generation, they like the word Prodrive.
Yeah.
But the reason I call it MUTS is because it's my idea.
Yes.
Obviously you have rules and you have regulations to work, and obviously we have made mistakes. In the beginning I was using GFK dashboards and GFK door panels, but I had no idea. You just start, and then along the way you met people. We went to a lot of FIA events who obviously helped me with where I have to pay more attention, and also sometimes they just write me and say, look, Mats, it's not possible what you're doing. Okay. You have to change it, otherwise you get excluded or whatever. Especially the more cars you build, the more pressure you get.
Yes, because it's now there's more of them competing. There's more of them wanting to take part in European Historic Championship or FIA events.
That's for sure. And like in Killarney, we had 8 cars on the grid, and people are. It's the same everywhere, even if it's in karting or in Formula cars, rallying circuit, doesn't matter. It's always, if somebody's quicker than the other guy or a car is quicker than the other car, it's always, you're cheating.
Yes.
Or your engine is not right. It's always the same. So obviously I have to get my head over that, because otherwise you get really sucked into it. But we have to, I look to the rules quite straight. Like, if somebody comes to me and they say like, Mats, it's not allowed what you do, I will not say, do like this. I will like, okay, if I do something wrong, I have to fix it.
Yes.
For example, we use GFK bumpers, the front and the rear, because the original ones are way too expensive.
Okay.
Plus, you cannot find them.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in every country, my bumpers are accepted because they are the same weight as the original one.
Yes.
I got it. I had to send a big document to the FIA. Like you have to put, I had to put 7 original bumpers on a scale, make a picture of every single one of them, take 7 rear bumpers all on a scale, picture, send the document, make sure that the scale is
Calibrated.
calibrated.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then make GFK bumpers in the same weight, same dimension, send all the pictures.
Yeah.
And then the FIA will say, okay, you can use that bumper. The sticker has to be there and the weight has to be minimum 6.5 kilo.
Yes.
A normal GFK bumper is 1 kilo.
Right. But you have to deliberately make it heavy to...
Yeah. So it's expensive, but it's on stock. Like it's available, you know, and we sell quite a lot of them. Then only in France, they make a big problem of it. Because they're, okay, in England, you have Prodrive.
Mm-hmm.
But in France, you have Delage, you know.
Ah, okay.
Delage was the big name in the M3.
Okay.
And in France, historic in France is really popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like immense popular. But also the type of people, it's a bit more the older generation.
Right.
You know, so they always say, it's not like Prodrive or it's not like Delage. But that's like you said, or like you asked, like, did I ever look to Prodrive? So I honestly, I never do.
No, you built a Mats M3, you didn't build a replica.
My idea. Yeah, I want to have my idea, my passion. And if it's good, it's good. And if it's not good, it's not good. But I can always stand 100% behind my car or behind the cars we have.
Because you're putting your name on this car. You want it to be the best representation of you and your company.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because of that, like, you know, like the shells, like, you know, they're getting more and more difficult to get. Like, do you go out seeking, looking for cars, or do you get the shells prepared somewhere else, or how does that all work?
I have a guy in Ireland who helped me quite a lot with cars.
Right.
I think I have so far I've took almost 10 from him. Then Bjorn 6 in Belgium, he helps me with a lot of cars. But also quite randomly, we receive messages on either Instagram or Facebook or an email. Like, hey, we have an M3 for sale. Are you interested? And then because of the prices,
yes,
my reaction often, and I don't want to be arrogant, I say, what is the idiot price you have in mind for the car? You know how it goes. People will look to your website. They see the cars on internet at the moment for 200,000 euro and more.
Yeah.
So they obviously want to, you know, they want to squeeze the price.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I receive sometimes you receive a nice price, I will also never negotiate the price.
Okay.
Like if somebody texts me, I have an M3 for sale, and I say, okay, I will reply, what's the idiotic price you haven't had? And then sometimes I get a funny smiley back, so I know it's an okay guy, you know. And then I know we know, we understand, this is the price, and then I will say, okay, you know, if they I had a guy. Had a car. I was on internet for, I think, double the price is what I pay for it. But he had it on internet, and I wrote him a message. I say, is this price serious? And then he said, what do you have in mind? I say, yeah, well, 60% of it. And then he wrote me back, oh, that's okay. Sometimes it's really, it's a bit funny, actually.
It's a funny game to play.
Yeah,
you're advertising something, and the people are looking at it going, "That's not worth that," and passing over. You know, so
yeah, but it also depends how long somebody has it.
True. Yeah.
You know, if somebody has an M3 for 10 years, he probably bought it that 10 years ago for 20k.
Yes.
For sure, he can have 60, 70k for it if he's patient.
Yes.
But if I offer him 40k, he think, okay, that's 20k profit in 10 years.
I've doubled my money, yeah.
Double my money, and I will not whine about little things like the door is not closing fine or the engine doesn't start, because for us it's not.
No, it's not really important, yeah.
No, it's not important as long as it's an M3 shell, because 95% of my cars is based on an M3 shell.
Yes.
Although the E30 with the conversion to an M3 is lighter, it's 6 kilos different. But for me or for us it doesn't matter. The condition doesn't really matter. Okay,
No.
we don't want to have a rusty can, but we if the
Mhm.
car looks okay, it's fine.
Yes.
So if we go to somewhere like my father will collect a car next week. It was an internet. I called him. I said, "What's your price?" And then out of himself, he went 2,000 under the price he was asking. And I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, fair. Can I collect?" Yeah, you can. Sometimes you have also guys who come to me like, "Oh, we have this car for sale. Okay, what's your idiotic price?" Ah, yeah, it's 70K, but yeah, you're selling the cars for 200 plus, so it's fine, huh? Like they try to.
You're just bringing it in, giving it a wee clean, and sending it back out again.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's a bit it's a bit funny, but so how we find the cars is just like people texting us or we look for them on internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Because they are becoming like a car of choice now for collectors. No, the price is naturally going up and up and up as well too. And like I suppose it's always trying to find that fine line between paying a price that will work for you and a price that's just won't give you the wherewithal to turn it into a rally car either.
yeah, that's true, but also my father always said for every car there is a person,
Yes.
and for every car there is somebody who will pay the price. Like
Yeah.
what is good at the moment, the M3s are getting a bit. To be honest, the road cars are getting a bit overpriced.
Right. Yes.
At the moment they are too high, I would say.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
if you see a couple of weeks ago, I think Munich Classic, they had a really fresh Sport Evo
Hmm.
with 10,000 kilometer on the car.
Uh-huh.
And if I remember correctly, it got sold for 300,000 pounds. Exactly. So that's
Yeah.
for the other end, it's good for me because
Yes.
the road cars being so expensive, it means my cars also go up.
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's simple as that.
Hmm.
But it doesn't really matter if this is because of the M3. It's just in general. If now you have Toyota with the Rally 2, what is getting obviously very competitive,
Hmm.
but hard to get.
So the prices go.
Yeah, so if somebody has one and they will put it on the internet, they can ask the same price as a new one,
Yeah.
or maybe even more
Or
because
maybe more. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
it's not available.
Hmm.
And that's with the M3 at the moment. If we sell a new car, we sell for a reasonable price.
Hmm.
And I have customers who sell the used car for the same price as a new car.
Yeah.
Because if somebody wants to have the car quick,
Hmm.
then yeah.
If I come to you tomorrow and I says, Matt, I want you to build me a brand new M3, how long will it be till you would have a car rolling out the other end?
14 months.
Right. Yes. Yeah, because you need you're more or less building these to order. You don't have a production line just like it'll roll off next week and away you go. Like these cars are so bespoke that you have to actually go out and source a car, and everything just takes time.
Yeah, what makes it difficult is like, okay, you buy a road car or just a shell.
Hmm.
Then it has to go to the water cleaner. Then it goes to Matter. Matter delivers us every month one car
Okay.
or one shell. Sometimes if I'm lucky two. In November they actually delivered me 4 shells. But that was one rally car, 2 Group A's and one STW, E36.
Okay.
So then then they use different welders. For the rally car they use one, for the circuit car they use another one. But normally, so that's already a month per car. But obviously we have already cars there. So if
Uh-huh.
I put a car there now, I need to wait 4 months before I get it back from them. Then it has to go then we have to do fabrication before the painter. Sometimes we can do it straight away. Sometimes the car will stand 1 month just aside because we have no time.
Hmm.
Then it has to go to the painter. But like at the moment we use 4 painters and we have 1 or 2 shells at every painter. Yeah, so and then it's not like you always use old crap, like
Uh-huh.
it's not a brand new body shell you always have to work with
Yeah, there's
19.
always going to be things has to be fixed and tidied up and straightened,
Yeah,
and yeah.
every single time, and it's every time the same. You take a car, you fit the subframe in the front and in the rear, everything fits perfect. It
Hmm.
goes to the welder, it goes to the roll cage guy, it goes to the painter, it comes back and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And it's not like a centimeter, it's a millimeter, you know, but then you have to modify, then you have to modify that. Then you have a trim list. You buy the car, you have a trim list. Okay, you have a nice trim list, you remove it. Oh shit, it's cracked. Okay, then you have to find the trim list. Ah, it's a different color. Okay, then you have to paint all trim list. But if they don't do it all together, there's a color difference. And then, you know, it keeps time and time.
Just rippling out, yes.
Exactly. So that's why it takes. Obviously, I wish we could build a car per week.
Yes.
But it's physically not possible. If we have all the part, the quickest we did a car was 5 days.
Okay.
From having it back from the painter to a rollout on the circuit, we did 5 days.
Yes.
But all parts were ready. And we did it with 3 guys in a week.
That's Tom turnaround. And you said there, just to take you back a wee bit, you said Matter does the shells for you. That's Matter who were, you know, back in the day were building the Opel and all that. So like this is the cream of the cream as well.
Yeah, and there is a big handling wise. I've tried different guys, and it's not that the Matter, the job is the most beautiful or whatever, but somehow all the cars with a Matter for me just are better balanced.
Yeah.
I
come
don't
back
know
as you ask for them to come back. You know what you're getting.
Yeah, you know what I get them, and I honestly I made quite a good deal with them. Like the owner I speak with him mostly every day. And they help me out quite well. They send me also they also send a lot of French clients to me. So you know it's good if you have a relationship like that, and also for them it's good because for me they do I think 16 body shells per year.
Okay.
But more people will go to them because they see our car. We have also people who have already a Matter shell, and then they will come to us and they say, you want to finish the car, you want to build this, or can we have parts or whatever. So you know it's good with a company like Matter. It's good to have a good relationship, you know.
Definitely, yeah. And then it comes back and paint and all that. Like for the likes of the engine, gearbox, all that. Like obviously does that all farmed out as well too, or do you do a lot of that in house as well?
Yeah, the engines. The engines is a bit of a problem. My tuner, he made the blocks. They made the blocks again. But then obviously one guy in France said, yeah, but you copy the Evo block. What we did, the 2.5 block, because obviously my tuner has to think he has to see the bigger picture, you know. So the 2.5 block is basically the same engine, but you can make it 90. The original 2.5 starts on 95 millimeter, the bore, and the 2.3 starts on 93.4. But if I buy an M3, often the engine is already bored to 94.2 or 0.4, what's already out of the homologation.
Yes.
And most of the time they're also cracked. That's another problem. So with those, what my tuner then did, he took the 2.5 basic outside and then all the reinforcements inside. But he took the bore of the 2.3. So then with this block, you can either make a 2.3 FIA correct, or you can make a 2.5 full, DTM.
Yeah.
Then the French people came because they see the pictures on internet and they say, the reinforcement you did for the crank is not allowed because it's only allowed in a 2.5. So now when we do a 2.3, okay, we have the original bore, but we have to remove the reinforcements.
Right.
Now we can use that block. So we can use a new block. So that's an alternative we have, and that's good. Then the crank we make new. You have to follow the weight from the FIA. What's really heavy because the crank is almost 20 kilo. We have tried how light we can go. We can go to 9 kilo and it still doesn't break. But there is, so we could actually improve the engine's miles more. But
yes,
are restricted to the homologation. So the cranks we make ourselves. The pistons, obviously, the camshafts, we have our own camshaft profile. The valve, everything, you have to follow the regulations. The throttle bodies, you have to follow the regulations. They are still okay to find. The cylinder heads, I think in my storage we have 20 cylinder heads, and I think 12 I can throw in the bin. Yeah, either they are already CNC machined by somebody else, too big, or cracked, or they had water damage, or they are
yeah.
skimmed too much, you know. So, but you don't know when you buy a car and when you
No, that's pot luck when you start opening it up then, really. Isn't
yeah,
it?
but it's shit when you pay that amount of money.
Yeah.
It's shit when you open it and you can put it in the bin.
Yes.
Because you cannot go back to the guy where you buy it from and say, yeah, the engine you sold me is shit. Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
how should he know if he owns the car 20 years or 10 years or whatever?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
And
that's
that's why we've been sitting in this garage for 5 of those years or something anyway, you know. So
yeah, so that makes it a bit complicated.
yeah.
For the gearbox on the other end, we have a good solution. So I started with Drent, what's a Dutch company, what makes it 10 times more easy, also with communication.
Yes. Closer to home, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy, you know. They're 1 hour from us, so it's easy. And with them, we also the casting from the gearbox we make new.
Ah, yes.
So if somebody like we have sold now 100 gearboxes in 3 years. Yeah, so it's a good amount, you know.
Yes.
It's good. So now the last 10 gearboxes we did are brand new casings, so the whole complete gearbox is new.
Uh-huh.
But it's good because okay, the people have to pay for it, but you
Of
can
course, yes. Uh-huh. But you're not relying on something that's almost like, well, over 30 years old now,
Yeah.
and just everyone just gets fatigued in that time. Like, at least you can send this out. This is brand new. You know, don't have to worry about metal fatigue or anything like that there, really.
That plus you can give some warranty. What is difficult in motorsport, obviously.
Yes.
You know, you can give a bit of warranty. What like in the beginning of 23, I sent 20 gearbox casings to Drent, original ones, because I always try to buy them everywhere, and then I put them on one big pallet. Send them,
Pallet, yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, and then they check them. From the 20 I sent, I got 12 back or 10 back, being out of tolerance, having a crack, having a this, having a so. It's a lot of money again, what you can just throw in the bin.
But yeah.
You know, but because we sell a lot of cars, you can actually invest money in new casings or in.
Uh-huh.
It's
Getting these cast, and you will have them cast now forever and a day now.
Yeah, now we have. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. Like you have a brand new casting,
Mm-hmm.
identical to the original one, just
Yes.
new material.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no problem with tolerance.
Yes, because they're all built to the exact same specification. Each and every one of them is as close to identical as the previous one.
Yeah, so you don't have this problem. So machinery is 10 times easier. Rebuilding is easier. You know, it's all the things together. Okay, at the end of the day, the gearbox is a bit more expensive in the short term,
Yes.
but in the long term, it's much cheaper. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because over 10 years, you will still be able to produce new ones, not going out around looking for, hopefully there's one down in that guy's garage, or looking for another car and that coming in and that no good either, and that this continues. You will have always a supply of new parts coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the gearbox in the engine.
Yes, and that's never even mind all the other, I like even, like drive shafts, half shafts, all those things. You're having to reproduce all those as well, then again too, are you?
Yeah, so I have a lot of parts made by Drent, more and more, because in the beginning, when you do 3 or 4 cars a year, it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But now like last year I sold 19, this year I sold 20, I think, because after Killarney I sold 5 in 1 week. Yeah, yeah, it was quite good, no? So, well, actually 4, because I'm waiting one guy to confirm the payment, but
Yes.
it was a good week after Killarney.
Uh-huh.
But if you sell a lot of cars, you can also invest money
Yes.
back into, in development from new parts. Like, even if it's just a trim or like also the rear lights, you cannot buy them anymore.
Okay.
And often they are broken.
Yeah.
But obviously for MOT and everything, they need to be correct. They need to work. And you don't want to have some LED light in the rear because it doesn't match the car.
Uh-huh.
So we're trying to reproduce them, but then the problem is you need to take minimum 50 or 100 and then times the price of what it costs, and that's then one part, but you need obviously a lot of parts.
Yes.
So the good thing is when you sell a lot, you can invest, and then hopefully at some point you have all the parts new.
Yeah, because not only are you producing new cars, like the guys that already have your cars will be needing tail lights, or they'll need a gearbox or whatever as well. So you also have your existing customer base there as well.
Yeah, but that's also the more cars you have, it's
Yeah.
everything. It's the
Yeah.
service, it's the parts, but then what makes it complicated, like when in a rally like Killarney, when you have 8 cars in one, actually in a small rally because it's only 80 kilometer.
Yeah.
We try to service everybody as good as we can. But if I go to a rally like Killarney, what am I gonna take? Are we gonna take one gearbox? Are we gonna take 5, one diff, 2 diff, one engine? What are we gonna? The more people you have, the more demand, the more you have to supply. And then also with stock, how much you're gonna put in stock, and it's not easy to find. That's
Yes.
that's then the next problem.
Yeah. Aye, because if you have too much stock, it's money sitting on the shelf that you need that money coming through the business as well too.
Yeah, that's also another thing. So, but like when you get a big order, it's okay for a company like M Sport. So it's completely different. It's all new. You can call the factory, or they actually are the factory. Call the factory, I need those parts,
Yeah.
and then you get the parts. But we obviously are reliable also on what is. We have no parts what are reproduced by BMW. If you're lucky, BMW still have stock of certain parts, but the list is getting smaller every day. So that also makes it more complicated. So like now, Eamon crashed the car,
Yeah.
and the damage he has with a normal car, you would say, you buy all the parts new, you put it on, and you go again. With an M3, yeah, first you have to find the parts. Like he damaged the right fender.
Yes.
It's not available anymore at BMW. Things like, where are you going to get it? And then
Where do I?
if you're lucky, you find it tomorrow on internet
Yes.
for a reasonable price. If you're not so lucky, you find it in 2 weeks for a price you think, I'm never going to pay that. And that, okay, it's also a nice challenge and it makes the business nice, but it's...
Yeah, but that means that car's sitting there for 2 weeks and you're not able to, turn it around and get it back out there again either as well too, yeah, so... Yeah, it's all. This is all the wee things you never think of. It's just, sure, it's only a matter of, it needs a front end, it needs a wing, get it sorted, get it out again. It's not as simple as that with the way that but you're hoping to get to that stage that you will be able to, needs a front wing, I will have that reproduced.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah. Because we see now, like the Mark II Escort now, sure, you can buy everything for them now, like right from the front bumper, the front bumper to the rear bumper and everything in between.
Yeah, we try to do the same. We are, but it takes a long time. It's not something what's done in a week. It takes half a year or even longer. Like the gearbox casing, the first complete casing we had in September 24, but we started with it in January 23. So it's 1.5 year.
Yes.
Knowing that you get a part, but 1.5 year you have to cover with the old shit.
Yes. Kind of always fixing up what you have and trying to make it last and trying to get it through. Yeah. That's the guy. You never think all those things.
Nobody does. It's
even probably the grill, the headlights, because the M3 is so different even from the ordinary 3 Series. Like there's very little carryover really in a lot of parts.
Yeah. It's we buy a lot of E30s for donor.
Right. Okay.
The trim list is the same.
Right.
The headlights we buy new, but replicas, because originals is, the price is not funny.
Yes.
The steering column you can use whatever, but the steering rack is custom made. Okay, it has to be an original casing, but the internals are custom made.
Okay.
Alternator is a big disaster. Impossible to find new, so always the old shit, and then hopefully somebody has still some parts to use it. Starter motors you can buy new. But then from the E30, what we can use the subframe. The door cards, for example.
Oh yeah.
Only one type. What you can use. So, and then the E30 M3 was always based on the Type 1 car.
Okay.
So from the Type 1 you can use a lot of external parts.
Right.
The Type 2 not.
Yes.
So that also sometimes make it complicated. And also those are going up in price a lot.
Because they're getting scarcer now too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It's crazy the way you have to, like, you know, as well as building rally cars, you're juggling the whole time as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like today, for example, I was a lot on the internet searching for parts and for cars,
Yeah.
and then because it's always like we have stock, we have stock, we have stock, and then before you know, like we did James McCarville car, we did Donna's car, the rebuild. Now we have to do Eamon's car. Then we did a few new builds, and then stock goes down quickly, you know.
And like that, because of the internet, obviously you're trolling the world. It's not just Europe. This is, you know, you will, if there's a part in Japan or America, you because of the internet, you will have access to that now as well.
Say that again, there.
If you know, if say you were looking for a part, you're not just looking within Europe. This is worldwide that you're trolling, looking for parts.
Yeah, if for example, Breen's car,
Yeah.
no, Fergus O'Mara's car, came from Japan. The body.
Okay.
Okay, I bought it on auction. Came from Japan to Marseille. We had to collect it in Marseille, and then bring it back home.
Yeah. And so you had nobody, you hadn't set eyes on it. You hadn't anybody even to go and look at it. This was just an internet bid and whatever turned up in the ship.
Yeah, you just buy like we have with Michael Cullen and with Paddy or Patrick Chauvelin, who drove also in Killarney. We have a few Group A cars.
Yes.
Like we're doing one original DTM, what's almost finished. We bought that on auction, also without seeing. And we found an original Bugatti car, 91. We got, I think, 10 pictures of it in a shed somewhere. Yeah, in New Zealand. Yeah, we had to wait for 3 months. And then, so we had to transfer the money up front, wait for 3 months, and then we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it's, okay, we were lucky we didn't get screwed over. But if you get screwed over, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You go flying to New Zealand and bring it all back, do you?
But you have to put a lot of faith in people, you know, because you, as you say, you have to pay for it up front, and then it's another 3 months before you even see the car, and then another 14, 15 months before you even get returning your money as well.
Yeah, that's also thing. But that's okay. I have to have faith in people, but people also have to faith in us because they put a deposit down for a car.
Right. Yes.
And they have to wait 12 or 14 months to finally get their car. You know, and then obviously the next thing is, okay, they can do 10 rallies without any issue, but they can also drive to the second stage and something stupid breaks down.
Yeah. And like, you know, I spoke to, you know, like Martin McCormick, Donna Kelly and these guys, and they're saying, you know, like the way you bring a car and the way you present the car to them, like, you know, it just inspires confidence. Like, do you feel that your driving background has helped you to develop the car to a good place as well?
I think so. I do think so, but what I also like obviously I had a lot of good drivers in the car.
Yes.
You know, and I am very stubborn, but if you have Neuville in the car, or even Marty, who is stupidly fast, you should be open for what they are saying, and you should listen.
Right.
You know, and like Donna is really fast on Irish tarmac. You know, and he did a lot of tests before Killarney, and then he calls me every time, and he say, okay, we tried this, I didn't like this, I did like that, we tried this, that was good, that was not good, and then I just, you know, you have to write it down, and then the next time you have to try to remind it or you speak. I try to, like in Killarney on Saturday, I was on the phone the whole day with every driver, just to, even if it's good or bad, it doesn't matter for me.
Yeah, because it's knowledge.
Exactly. And it you know, negative is always shit, but it's important. Positive is nice, but the negative you have to learn from, obviously. And like with those good guys in the car, and also with when Cherry was in my car or Craig, like with Craig, we tried six sets shock absorbers on the test before Killarney. Okay, I was lucky. Riger was, you know, they helped me out with it because I cannot put 6 sets, go to a test and say have fun. You know, you also need to grow, or for me to grow. Besides money, you also need companies who are actually wanting to help. Like
they want to develop with you as well too.
Yeah, for sure. And I also try to stick always with all my suppliers for a long time, and also with all my clients. And it's getting more difficult if you are growing, but I try to always keep it personal.
Okay.
with everybody.
Yeah, because they will talk to Mats. There's no point of them ringing up and talking to, the guy that's, painting the shell or whatever. They want to talk to you because you're the guy that sold them the car.
Yeah, but I also want to talk to them.
Yes.
I really like in Killarney, if I don't receive a message during the day, I will write them myself because I just want to also give them what I learned out of karting in coaching. It's very important. The go-kart can be as quick as whatever, but if the driver is not confident, the kart will never be quick.
Yes.
And with the car is the same. If the driver has 100% confidence in the car or the guy who prepared the car or in his team, the car can be shit, but he will be quick because he have the good feeling. So I try always to be there for the guys. And, if I will tell them this will work, and even if it doesn't work,
if they feel it will work, or you've told them it will work, yes,
it will work. And I think that's the most important thing. And that's like I said, what I've learned in karting with coaching, what I try to take with me to the to the M3, so to my way of work. But yeah.
And whenever somebody like Craig Breen or Terry Neville or Danny Sordo contact you, is it kind of like an almost pinch yourself moment? These guys are Terry Neville, a world champion, are coming looking to buy one of your cars. That must give you great confidence that yes, fuck it, I am producing something here that is top quality.
Well, it should, but for example, to my father, it does.
Yes.
My father's really like, is this really happening, And I am more like, okay, nice. But the only thing I care about is that they are happy at the end.
Okay.
And for me, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's like really awesome that Cherry bought 2 cars,
Yeah.
But for me, I'm as happy with Donna, or I'm as happy with Michael Cullen. For me, it doesn't really matter. For me, what matters is that my cars are driving, that the people are happy who are driving the cars. And obviously we sell quite an expensive product, and it's nice if people have faith in you that they actually put the money down, because at the end of the day, it's not possible for everybody.
No.
So, and I think what I try to be realistic with that like, okay, it's a lot of money for everybody. So for me, it also shouldn't matter who comes to buy a car.
Okay,
actually.
yeah. Because whoever's coming to you, this is their release. Like Terry Neville wants to jump into your car for fun. Donna Kelly wants to do that. It's not their livelihood. It's not it's not their bread and butter. This is their escape almost as well too, and that has to be a bit of relief in that too.
Yeah, it's their hobby, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
like Donna, obviously he's quite wealthy. And what I do love, I love it that he prefers the M3 above whatever he has.
Yeah.
And it's not because he cannot afford it. It's just because the passion or the joy he has with that car. And that for me, that's worth a lot. Like it's really that's nice. Or somebody pulling aside the Rally 5 or the Rally 2 car, sorry, for the M3. I think that's what motivates me more than who is coming to actually buy a car.
And then Rory Kennedy, who sat in the Prodrive cars back in the early 90s, suddenly 30 odd years later sitting in one of your cars and still won the rally. Like that's a lovely story there too. That like Rory, I spoke to Rory back in 2020 at the start of the whole COVID thing, and I asked him then, what's your favourite car? M3. I think there was no hesitation, they are the car that stirs the emotion. Because in Ireland here we had Bertie Fisher, we had Austin McHale, we had Bill Connolly, and a few other guys, Andrew Nesbitt. They're from my generation, they are the car that still sticks out because of the noise of the rear wheel drive. They were the last proper rear wheel drive car before the 4-wheel drive Japanese monsters took over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Rory is a lovely guy.
Yeah,
like, he is a really. It's really a nice, like you meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he is one of the guys who I always will remember because he is a nice guy. Same as McCormack. Marty is, You know, Marty is like, yeah, is a nice guy. What can you say?
It's very straight. There's no
Yeah.
there's no nonsense. You know, there's no fluff. That's what he'll tell you what he thinks, exactly what he
Yeah.
thinks. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice to meet those people and obviously spend time with them.
Mhm.
And I know it maybe now. Okay, with Donna, he's driving the M3 for 3-4 years now,
Mhm.
and I know it's never gonna last forever. You know,
No.
but I enjoy the moments I have now with them, and yeah, no, it's nice after Killarney. He calls me and say, "Hey, Mats, I get so much attention, and it's so nice to win this rally." And you know, yeah, that's
It's very special for you then too.
yeah. That's of course
Yeah.
that's important to me. Like, and the guys were sending me pictures in Killarney that I see there 8 cars. That for me is,
Yeah.
you know, because I have a moment of that I realize, maybe what I do is, you know.
I think, you know, because of Ireland the way it has been forever, like at this stage, like historic rallying was a Mark One, especially, but a Mark Two Escort, and that is slowly changing, and like you're part of that revolution now as well.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice.
Yeah. And then, you know, not only is the M3, you know, we'll go back and we'll talk a wee bit more about the M3 in a few minutes, but the Beast as well. You know, Martin McCormick and Barney had it in Donegal last year, and it caused a few ripples, you know, like the speed's there, it just needs a wee bit more refined.
Yeah, it was. I was a bit, well, not embarrassed, but the funny thing was, so we did before the Donegal Rally was a really nice event actually to see for a time. Like, I've never seen so many people and people over the road and so busy. I have never seen that before, so that was really nice. But yeah, before the rally, we did 300 kilometer of tests, so that would be 2 times Donegal, yeah,
Yeah.
without one single problem, like nothing. So 300 kilometers, 12 tires, or three or four sets of tires. Marty squeezing the thing, like, because he knew if you do 300 you know the stage, yeah. No problems. Then we go to the rally, stage 2 drive shaft break. Yeah, so that was really painful for me. But because of that, like I said, from the negative moments you need to learn.
Yes.
Because of him, now we have a much more reliable. Okay, in Belgium I did 10 rallies with the car. I never had a breakdown.
Yeah.
But because of this, I also don't need to worry about those things anymore. You know, so okay, it was a bit of embarrassing, but at the end of the day, it was also a really helpful or a really learnful rally for us. And then what for me is the best is that I spoke with Marty 2 weeks ago. He will use the car again.
Yeah.
And then for me it's nice that he still has the faith it will be good.
He sees the potential in the car.
Yeah,
Yes.
he sees the potential of the car, because even normally when I drive Beastie, it has 440 horsepower. And in Ireland you cannot use the 3.2, so it has to be a 3-liter engine.
Yes.
But still at 400 horsepower. And on the first stage after the C, he was, like I said, he was P5 in modified, I think P5 or 6. And then after the stage, he texted me, I drove like a cunt. I said, oh, what then? No, I took way too slow, and this, but the time was still good.
Yes.
And then on the second, when the drive shaft broke, we were looking the onboards and the time, what should be realistic. For sure, you would be top 3.
Right.
And then on the second day, on the first stage, he was P3 or 4 in modified.
Yes.
So we know the potential is there, because it was the first outing with that car. I just had one set of shock absorbers. I say, okay, this is all we have, and we went. And I honestly think that if we get the drive shaft problem, well, we should have it fixed now. But if that wasn't there, you would for sure surprise a few people with this car.
Yeah. And is this something that you would like then to, you know, scale up as well too, or are you happy enough with the M3 being your main car, or you know, say the Beast, then you come to Donegal next year and you had a great run, and you know somebody come to you and said, I want one of them and I want one of them, you know, and suddenly 5 people want the Beast. Would that could be something you could scale up, or is you?
The thing is with the E36 in this configuration and modified, it costs a lot of money.
Right.
But as soon as it goes out of my workshop, the value is what somebody wants to give for it.
Okay.
You know, because an M3 or an E36 is not so expensive.
Okay.
You can only use it in Ireland, Belgium, and Denmark.
Okay.
Only a modified. There is not a, so that makes it complicated.
I have a very narrow window of where it can go then, yeah.
Exactly. And but from a technical side, I really like the E36.
Mm-hmm.
Like we did 4, we've sold 4, we're doing the 5th now. From a technical aspect, I really like this car. Like if you drive in this thing, it's like a Rally 2, but then rear-wheel drive, you know?
Okay.
It's really, the car is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
In Ireland and in Belgium, when I don't do the championship, but just a normal national rally, we have no weight limitation, so that I can make the car light. Then I actually won 2 rallies. Like even when there are Rally 2 cars in Porsche, we won the total event.
Uh-huh.
So for sure the potential is there, you know. So
Yes.
from that point of view, if with that car, if I win or when I won a rally, I'm like, yeah, this is actually extra nice because it's a rally or it's a car fully
Yeah.
prepared by us. Like you have no obligation, you have no rules. It's just okay, do whatever you want.
And you can be as crazy as you want to be.
Yeah. You're not allowed to have ABS. You're not allowed to have
No.
pedal shift. You're in Belgium then.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to have traction control on this. You know, it needs to be a big boy's car. You know. So,
Yes. Aye.
No, it has to be
I
a
know
big boy's
toys.
car.
Yeah.
So it's if I then beat a Rally 2 car, it's obviously really nice.
Yes.
Because you know it's a product we 100% create. Like there is no rules. With the E30, with the M3, you have to follow the rules, so you're limited.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, we can make the E30s quicker than what they are now. But
Do you still feel that you haven't even fully tapped the full potential of the E30 yet?
within the rules we did, but
Yes.
without if we were good, if we make a modified M3,
Oh, I like a class
it will be
14
much
car.
quicker.
Yes.
It will be
Yeah.
much quicker.
Right.
Yeah, but there is no demand because the car is too popular for historic, so there will no.
Yes.
And if you want to make that car for modified, it's the price is,
Yes.
you know, it doesn't make it's not it's with it it's without, how do you say, it's without
There'd be no limit to how far you could go with it. They can.
yeah, the car will cost around 300,000 euro.
Yes.
That's for me, it's out of well, not out of limits, but out of proportion.
Aye, proportion, yeah. 'Cause,
Yeah.
aye, and yeah, again, you're down to that very narrow window where you can use it as well.
Exactly, and then the value after, like,
Yeah.
and that's a bit what I see with the E36. So I get a lot of demand.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of requests, let's say,
Yes.
like, but not actually to build it, more to rent. Like I rented out a few times,
Okay.
and then people have the interest, but then when I tell them the price, it's like, it's quite expensive for an E36.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell them the price for an M3 E30, okay, it's
That seems more realistic. Yeah.
makes more,
like I
yeah, it
can-
makes more sense.
Yeah, I can use this for a year, maybe sell it on or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can use it for a year and then sell it on for maybe even the same price or with a little bit of loss or whatever. With the E36, like I have Beastie. Okay, maybe Beastie I can sell for a good amount because it's my car.
Yes.
And if I understand if my company is growing, I understand that the value of this car will be will go up.
Yes.
If you're building one just randomly, okay, let's say the price is 100,000, simply said. After 1 year, the price is maybe 60.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it's not as interesting as the E30 M3, what is cost now at 220, and next year it's still 220.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And the only thing with the E36, I'm building an STW for circuits, and I think that's going to be interesting with the new homologation.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, then it's for circuit. It's not a rally car.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, and then to go back then as well to like, you know, Marty and Donna and these guys. Marty, you know, won one round or 2 rounds of the European Historic Championship as well too. Like this is as close as you're going to be able to compete at like a world championship event. Like this is the top level of historic rallying. Like that had to give you, like, I know you don't think that, you know, everybody's the same, but that has to give you a lot of satisfaction that your car is as good as anywhere in Europe. That this is the best of the best.
I was really happy with Marty's win, like really happy. But Donna crashed on the last stage,
Yes.
and I felt really sorry for Donna.
Yes.
She was in P3 at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, the victory is nice, but I also care for the customers. And then I was really upset with Donna and with Rory because Rory was in hospital.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like having your cars win obviously makes me motivates me.
Mm-hmm.
But then to keep winning, that's obviously that's difficult. Then okay, Eamon won San Remo.
Yeah.
Okay, it's hard to beat the Porsches there, especially when it's your first time round.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Marty would do if he had done San Remo this year, I think Eamon had a hard time with Marty. Yeah, Marty is quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it's nice if your cars are winning on the highest level. But for me, the nicest is we have a lot of scrutineering after already.
Yes.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, okay, we pass it. And that's the most important thing for me because I want to work on a level that you are being checked.
Yes. There's nobody kind of can say but I have chance in that, or they can say nothing because everyone's been cleared.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have the bullshit after.
Yeah.
You're cheating. I say,
Yes.
yeah, but they've checked my stroke. They have checked this. They have checked that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, this was not. I never got when you were small, you never got checked. Like in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
they never check you. But then when you have more cars and obviously people start talking, then then it starts. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's good about.
Yes, as a kind of like we talk about in Ireland, it's a backhanded compliment because they're saying nice things, but they're trying to catch you out. But at the same time, that you've dealt the hand straight. That there will be no comebacks because the car's legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I suppose like wrapping things up, like this young guy that started out, run to an M3 for one rally. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think it would have become the animal that it's become now?
No chance. No, absolutely no chance. It was also never my how do you say? Like I said in the beginning, it was never my plan. Maybe it was my ambition without knowing, but it was never I never had in my head, okay, I start with an M3 because I want to have a good running company.
Uh-huh.
I did that in my head. It would be nice to, if I could work on cars all my life in a way how I want to do it. Not in a car garage as a car mechanic, but have my own idea in my head, put it on a car.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice, because then the rest, as long as you do that job, you will enjoy your job, you will have fun. My biggest problem is I don't always see it as a job, it's more or less a hobby, but then you don't have a hobby anymore, so it makes it a bit complicated. But yeah, it's nice if you can do the thing you like day in, day out.
Yeah, because like that probably is the next question. Like you still have the same passion for this as you did as a young boy, even going go-karting. You jump out of bed every morning wanting to go to work, wanting to do these things.
Yeah, that's actually funny how you say it. Because I have my girlfriend who's really quite intelligent. Okay, I don't know why she's with me then, but she is very intelligent and she had a good job. Or she has a good job, I have respect for that. But she sometimes even if it's saying without any back thoughts, like she said, I have to go to work tomorrow. And I would say, I can go to work tomorrow again. Like
Yeah.
it's a bit of a different way how you think about work. Like I want to go to work.
Yes.
And most of the people say I have to go to work.
Yeah.
And then for me, but that sometimes makes it complicated. As like 2 weeks ago before Killarney, I wasn't home before 12 every day. To prepare everything, and then you're like, if it would just be a job, you would say at 5 o'clock, see you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's your thing, it's your life. Then you keep going, keep going, keep going.
And Mats van der Brand is the go-to guy for M3s worldwide. Like, is that even still, whenever you hear that, is it still a wee bit hard to take in that, this young guy has suddenly become the world leading expert on all things BMW M3?
Honestly, I never think about it like that. I don't think about it. It's nice when you say it like that, but I myself, I never think about it like that.
And then, final question, and this is just a bit of a silly one. You have guys like Wally Rogers and different guys that you can tap into, like whenever you come to Ireland or if you go to France or whatever. Like those guys, like they're as vital cog in this machine as like the guy that's painting the car, because these are the guys that will get cars finished rallies. They're the guys that will be able to change a gearbox in 14 minutes or whatever. All those, every component's needed to make this machine work. Yeah.
It's really, really, really difficult. But if, like Willie, who helps me a lot actually, at least if we are speaking about the same Willie.
Yes, Wally Rogers, yes.
Oh, with the beard,
Yes.
I met him on a funny way with a rally with Donna. But guys like him are hard to find in rallying. Like, the real passionate guys who do it for the passion, not for the money or whatever, or they don't do it for the nice dinners and good hotels. Now, who actually do it for the job. They are difficult to find.
Yeah.
And I have a few of them. I think in Killarney I had all of my best mechanics there. What I also need, because if I'm not there, I need somebody to pull the, to put the weight on the shoulder.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you have good guys, then yeah, sure you can also actually see it on the results. When we go to a rally, and if I have a lot of good mechanics, I can see it in the results, or I can see it about how often the customers call me.
Right.
Like in Killarney, obviously they call me for setup, not for problems.
No, because the problem,
Because the boys will fix it.
Fix them before there isn't even a problem. They have it sorted. Yeah,
Exactly. If we have a big event like San Remo, we had a big event, and I didn't have enough mechanics, and there we were struggling. Okay, obviously we won with Eamon. The drivers didn't notice anything.
Yes.
But I surely noticed. It was a mess. And not that the boys didn't put the effort or that they didn't do a good job or whatever, but just I didn't have the correct people on the correct place, and
yes.
Okay, you learn from that. But yeah, like when San Remo I was in a rally in France. No, actually I was in Silverstone on a circuit.
Right.
So yeah, then and in that weekend we had San Remo, we had Silverstone, and we had a rally in Belgium. And then most of the customers, that's a good thing, but also sometimes a difficult thing. They want that we take care of everything. Like Marty's car is standing with us for a year now. Alan Ring's car always coming back. Donna's car always coming back. If Donna drives in Ireland, Paul Flanagan looks after him.
Yeah.
What is good for me, because Paul is very well, he has a good experience, good knowledge, and he has Willie.
Yes.
So then I have no stress for that.
Yes, that's okay there.
Yeah, that's sorted. Like I don't need to think about it. But in San Remo we had 6 cars, but I had only mechanics for 4.
Right.
And then it's difficult.
Yes. Everybody's getting stretched in, yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't have somebody strong enough to pull all the weight on the shoulder, there will be drama. And okay, luckily we had no problems, so everybody finished. That's why I say the drivers didn't notice, but on the background, there was some mistakes with tires, there was some mistake with fuel, there was a mistake there, and then that makes it harder, because that's also a thing what comes besides finishing the cars, doing the new builds, we also have service, rally support, testing, organizing everything. Like for a FIA event, you said it's top class, but you also it takes a week.
Oh, I have prepped beforehand of all the pre-event test, the rebuild after that, all those things.
No. The pre-event test and the rally is a week.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then you have the preparation before.
Yes.
And the prep after. So
of course,
it's a lot of it takes a lot of time. And if you have 1 car, it's easy. But if you have 4, 5, 6 cars, it
multiplies. I get scales and scales.
Yeah. And now, like for Costa Brava, starting in March, the first one, as it looks for now, we will have 12 or 13 cars on the grid. Yeah. It's funny.
But and then right, final question. But 12 or 13 cars are going to be starting that. Do you still, are you do you get excited by that? Like, is that a challenge that you're just bring it on?
It excites me. That things like that, or like Killarney, excites me a lot. When the challenge is difficult,
Yes.
it's a challenge. Then that's a good motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to put, because I always have the feeling, and maybe this is because of karting, when the pressure is on, I have the idea there is less because you're so focused then. Like if there is a lot of pressure, you're always in the, I say in the zone or in the vibe or whatever.
Yeah, in the zone, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then less mistakes, better results.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for sure it's hectic and for sure it's complicated and it costs a lot of energy. But I think it's better when there is a lot of pressure instead of no pressure.
Yeah. And before we started recording, you told me, as a wee fella, you love playing with Lego. Like this almost like, having 12 or 13 cars there, it must be almost like Lego. All these parts all have to go together in the correct and the correct procedure and the correct way.
Yeah, that, and also was also sometimes a bit funny. We have 13 cars there, and I think we will look after 6 or 7. But I know that the other 6 guys, they for sure will come and ask for help, or they ask for parts, or they ask for this, or if they have a problem that we can come and fix it. And you also have to think about that. Like you cannot only see the 6 or 7 cars you have to do, you also have to see the other cars you have to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when M Sport goes to an event. Of course, they have their own team and their own drivers, but they also have the customers.
Yeah.
Who they need to help, and that's also what I realize is we have sold now 65 rally cars. What is nice.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't finish 65. We have sold 65.
5, yes.
But you also have to think about, okay, if we have so many cars, we also need parts. Like we spoke before, and also, okay, shit, all those cars. Let's say 50% will do rallies, so that's 30 or 35 cars. But it's for a rally 2, it's easy because there's plenty of parts, plenty of whatever, and it's it's being built every single day. But if you realize, okay, you have 30 cars going out, but hard to find parts or hard to find this or hard to manage, then you're like, okay, we also have a challenge for that. Because you cannot put that amount of stock, for everything. And also when we go Costa Brava, for sure there will be one van with probably 1 or 2 engines, and maybe it's even better to take a spare car, but yeah, but you need to.
Yeah, you have to factor all this in. Yep.
Yeah, you have to think about it. At some point, you're growing so quick. You're growing so quick that you have to. Yeah, it's not only what I said in the beginning. From the outside, it always looks easy or it looks nice, but there's a lot of things on the background what nobody sees, what also has to be dealt with, and also have to be organized. And
and it's not that you have like a whole team behind you doing this. This is a very small, like there's yourself, your father, and a few other people, and that's it. Like there's not 30 or 40 people. This is a very small team.
Like 8. I have 8 employees then.
Yeah.
And then with the freelance, we are with 14.
Yeah.
That's it's never enough.
No.
It's if you have a rally with that amount, like in Killarney, we're also short on mechanics.
Yeah.
Because there is also a difference between mechanics and mechanics.
Yeah.
On Eamon, I had one mechanic who can do the whole job himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he prefers to do it alone instead of somebody helping him. And then I had one guy who is normally a mechanic, but he would say, okay, I will take the responsibility. And if you have one guy like this, he can, then you don't need the mechanic, then you don't need 6 Willie Rogers,
Yes.
But if you don't have this guy who's in charge of everything, then you need 6.
Yes.
The real rally mechanics. And that's also a struggle, what you will always have. But I honestly think that this is everywhere. This is not only with me. I mean,
no, this is by
I think this is general.
General,
even in the big companies, this is.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of really good people, and then there's other guys very more than capable, but there's good, and then there's the next level up.
Yeah. And then you have a guy with shitloads of experience. They will think about everything.
Yeah.
And then you have also mechanics who just do the job, like tighten the wheel, check the car. But you also have mechanics who think about, okay, maybe we need this, that, calculate the fuel, tire pressure, put one tire in out the shade or in the shade, set the tire pressure in the morning, put all the other tires ready on compound, do this, do that. Yeah, that's a complete.
And they're working 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else. Yeah,
exactly. And those are even, they're almost impossible to find, because those guys, they even work for themselves or they have never time.
So thanks very much there to Mats. And since we recorded, Mats is now a very proud father. So congratulations to himself and his partner. Wishing them all the very best. So that is season 4, episode 2, Connor. And what can we say? The juggernaut's about to start rolling again.
Absolutely. And, as always, please like, share, subscribe. It all helps, and so does your feedback.
So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day, and the proudest time, and the seat of a rally car. Because that day, and that hour, and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all we said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.